There's a lot of hype about AI taking over your job, but not much evidence. Sure, it does some neat stuff, but nowhere near the full scope of your job. Here's the disconnect. You aren't giving AI hard enough problems. Well, when you've given AI even medium hard problems in the past, it didn't do them so well. You've been burned and are understandably reluctant to try again. Things have changed. A lot. On June 9th, Anthropic released Claude Fable, which was more than simply a new model. It was a paradigm shift. Stripe gave Fable a software task that would have taken a team more than 2 months to do. Fable did it in a day. Others have reported giving Fable an enormous task, only to discover it documented the assumptions it made, flagged judgment calls it wasn't comfortable making, and checked its work before producing outputs. This technology exists now. You can give it a task, walk away, and come back a few hours or days later to completed work. If the AI does your job faster, more thoroughly, and all around better than you, what's left? Here's what we'll cover. First, what your new job is. Next, one critical skill you'll need and don't have yet. Then I'll walk you through step by step how to develop it. Also, something important nearly everyone is overlooking. Lastly, what your first step should be. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do now and see why all of this is great news for you. And by the way, the skill I'll talk about is not some new AI with a new interface you need to learn. You're not downloading any new software or anything like that. This is a skill on how to use the next generation of chatbots like Fable effectively, and how to shift your thinking so it's actually more enjoyable. Okay, so AI can work for hours or days on its own now. How do you make sure it's doing the right thing? Let's take a step back first. There are a few main components of a large task. There's the specification, spec for short. These are the resources, the constraints, what the output needs to be, and so forth. I'll be calling it spec in the rest of this video. There's also the doing of the task. And then there's the validation. We've got to make sure what's been produced satisfies the requirement in the original spec. Most of us have made our careers on that middle part, the doing. Project managers are one of the few who have experience drafting specs. Some of you have done validation, but now that AI is the doer, the spec development and validation belongs to you. That's your new role and responsibility. After all, you're still accountable for the work. Coming up with a good spec is how you'll make sure AI does the thing you want. This might sound radical, but this is actually the mainstream opinion among technologists. You'll be directing the work, not doing it. Now, I want to stress something. In no way is the message here that all the skill, knowledge, and expertise you've developed over the years no longer useful. You will simply be using this to do new types of work. Your experience will help you identify the common problems to watch out for. Your knowledge will allow you to tell the AI what information and resources it should use or not use. And your ability to judge what good looks like will become more important, not less. Writing a spec the AI can follow is a skill you'll need to develop in order to thrive very soon. I've got good news and bad news. I'll give you the bad news first. Writing clear, detailed requirements is hard. Project managers can do it, but how many of us figure out what to do as we're going through it, or decide what we've done is good on a I'll know it when I see it basis? Chances are you don't have the critical skill of writing good specs. Let me ask you, do your coworker, significant other, kids sometimes not do what you've asked correctly? Consider that your instructions were confusing or incomplete. You might bristle at that, but think about it. Well, I shouldn't have to tell them these things. Should or shouldn't is beside the point. A better spec might have avoided the mistake. These AI models cost real money to run. If it runs for a couple of days and returns something unacceptable because your instructions weren't complete, your boss can look up the exact amount of money you just wasted. This is a critical skill you will need. The good news is that you can start building it today before the pressure's on. Planning is a learnable skill. So is communicating problems clearly, gathering context, giving feedback, having a vision of what good looks like. If managers learn how to do these things, so can you. Everyone will figure this out in time, but they will have to learn the skills under time pressure, and that certainly won't make learning easier. Okay, so you've got a head start now knowing a critical skill you'll need. You can probably see how much of a gap there is between your current level and what's needed. I've assured you that you can develop these skills. Now, how do you go about doing this? Neither the government nor your employer will help you build these skills. You pay taxes to the government to protect you, but they won't in this case. You're helping your employer succeed, but they won't help you back. So how do you develop the skills of writing detailed specs? Start doing this for your work today. Before you do the work, and you'll still be doing it, write out the spec as though you were giving it to AI. Get practice doing this. Not only will you be developing this skill, you may find that it helps you today. Abe Lincoln is credited with saying, if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Planning and preparation is useful. Here's a template you can follow to create a spec you could give an AI and get a good result. Outcome. Fill in the blank to this question. When this is done, I will have blank. Be concrete. Name the thing you'll be holding at the end. Don't proceed until you have a good answer for this. Maybe when this is done, I will have a research report that analyzes proposal X based on costs and benefits, feasibility, and alignment with current strategy. 2. Who is this for, and what should it make them do, think, or feel? This might seem obvious, but write it out anyhow. This is for the senior director and her direct reports so that they can confidently make a clear recommendation to the senior vice president. Next, decompose the result into pieces. You are decomposing the result, not the task. You're not writing subtasks. The AI figures out the steps. In our example, that might be an executive summary, a page of assumptions, sections that detail the analysis from the point of view of costs and benefits, feasibility, and alignment with existing strategy. A conclusion that makes a powerful, clear recommendation. This will serve as a checklist when it comes to evaluating the finished output. 4. Write out a draft spec based on what you've done in the prior 3 steps. 5. Look back at your draft and ask yourself, where would a stranger have to guess? Where would an intelligent person who can't read your mind be unclear? Each guess you can answer becomes a line in your revised spec. 6. It needs to know what good looks like. Import concrete examples of good and bad. In our example, a good and bad report. If you don't have examples, describe the qualities of good and bad. Maybe, I want it to be skeptical but not cynical, and here's what too cynical sounds like. Next, limits and constraints. So length, deadline, tone, things to avoid, reading level, and resources. What files to use, what sources to trust, what tools or data it's allowed to reach for. Okay, now you have a completed spec. You can go off and do the work now. This was your practice to build the skill. But if you have extra time, I'd recommend 2 extra steps. 8. Feed your spec into AI and add something like this at the very end. Before you begin, ask me your most important clarifying questions. You did your best to identify places where a stranger had to guess. Now you'll see the ones you missed. This feedback will help you get better at identifying when you aren't specific enough. 9. Compare your completed work against the spec. Did it include everything you specified in Step 3? Did it honor the constraints from Step 7? If not, that doesn't mean you did it wrong. Just notice where you deviated from the initial spec and use what you learned the next time. At first, you'll probably be bad at this. That's fine. You're learning. Now, I mentioned before that your new role of planning and validating instead of doing is the mainstream thought among experts today. But there are 2 more points I want to make that no one else is saying. Some of these contradict mainstream thought, but I think they will make your new role more natural and enjoyable. I've heard this new role referred to as a manager of AI agents. Now, I have nothing against managers, but I think there are some problems with this mindset. Manager implies delegation, and I believe you feel like the work isn't completely yours when you delegate. It's more helpful to think of you and the AI as partners. Partners help each other and grow together. You're helping it do good work, and it's helping you learn how to give better instructions. Think of it like Iron Man from the superhero movies. Tony Stark is in the suit, and Jarvis is the AI. There's no delegation. They have a very close working relationship, even though they're responsible for different things. And no one is talking about how your new role will shift your identity. Identity is who you know yourself to be. It's your self-image. Maybe up until now, your identity was as a doer. Now your value won't come from you doing the same actions you always have. You'll use the knowledge, experience, and taste you've developed to write better specs. You'll be the creator, the architect. You'll do less of the work, but write much longer prompts. And research in the field of human-computer interfaces shows that people who create longer, more detailed prompts feel an increased sense of ownership. That's what you want. People are telling you AI will make you more effective at your job, but you'll probably have to develop the necessary skills on your own, since you won't be given the time to learn. They might eventually, but it's best to start now before everyone else sees the need. So don't wait for the company rollout. Don't wait for a course on this. I've already told you enough to get started. And Claude Fable is the proof you'll need these skills soon. Start now so that you're ready and can thrive when these new models are everywhere. It's a change, sure, but AI may end up being the competent, efficient, effective partner you never knew you wanted. There's a lot more coming in future videos. I'll show you how to create even better specs than I did today and do some deeper dives. So click subscribe so you can watch them when they come out. Also, it might be a good idea to save this video using YouTube's save feature. You'll probably want to come back to review the steps to create a better spec. Your job is going to change in a big way. Now you know how and the steps to take so that you're prepared. Thanks for watching. Watch again if you want to, and I'll see you next time.